Welcome to the Fulcrum, and welcome to my little bit of marshland paradise. I'm on a small island here, surrounded on three sides by water and marsh. Only one way in, one way out. A rather tangled path that goes through hawthorn bushes that rabbits would have trouble crawling around. Great spot. Almost no one ever comes through here. These hawthorns, some of them are 80, 100 years old, maybe older. It's hard to tell by looking at them. The ancient Irish used to believe that the hawthorn was like a gateway between our world and the next one. That creatures like fairies and leprechauns could travel from one world to the next through a sacred hawthorn. They are eerie-looking trees you can see around. The ones here are covered with all kinds of wild grapevines that snake around. Some of them as big around as your wrist. But a great spot for quiet reflection, especially right now with everything that's going on. So many aggravations that tangle up in your life and make things more complicated than they need be. That's one thing about getting to a certain age. You've been around long enough, you've seen the same games played over and over again, and what we're seeing right now is no different. Governments, powers that be, the alphabet agencies that work for them, instigate a lot of these terrible turmoils that beset the world, as is the current situation. We have in Ukraine right now several different groups of people all living in the same geographical area, all of them wanting their own little piece of the pie. This kind of struggle has been going on in that area of the world for well over 100 years. Factions fighting back and forth. The only real problem starts, though, is when larger countries, Western countries, start putting our foot in the door to get at the resources that some of these countries hold. And of course, they have to demonize other countries in order to have an excuse to go in and cause even more trouble. Most of these trouble spots in the world have been run by dictators and despots that have actually been put in power by Western powers as a way of controlling the local population, getting in and extracting natural resources for major corporations. It used to be in the old days, agencies like the CIA and KGB and other of their ilk from different countries would go in, destabilize the government was there, democratically elected or not, put in their own puppet. This would work for a while until the puppet decided that maybe he was a little bit too big for his britches, and they would go in and take him out, like Gaddafi in Libya, and Saddam in Iraq. None of these people are good people by any means, but made out to be the devil by Western press. In a lot of cases they were, but the fact remains is they wouldn't have been in power without our help. A sad thing to consider. But now we see it happening again. That's why places like this make more sense. Because when you're constantly distracted by the media and what's going on, Facebook, Instagram, and all the rest of them, it's all largely controlled by pressure groups. Step out of line, say the wrong thing, you'll end up having your account shut down, being put into purgatory, Facebook jail, as I am for 90 days, for actually mentioning things that are deemed misinformation that in the ensuing days have been proven to be quite correct. We all know what we're talking about. We've all been through 2 years of shutdowns and lockdowns for one reason or another. The goalpost shifting constantly. Nonsensical rules that your common sense tells you really don't make any sense at all. And yet we follow them because we have to. Because if we don't, you're socially ostracized, lose your right to go where you want to go, eat where you want to eat, even breathe the air where you want to breathe the air. So this is why places like this are where you should go. You will find all your answers in the woods or in the marsh, but it will give you some clarity of thought and time to think about things. Because when you really do think back, look back on your own life, whether you're 20 years old, 40 years old, or 60 years old, you can see the same themes being played out over and over and over again. The war drums being beaten by the media, on behalf of governments, on behalf of big business, which the only way they make money is by feeding the war machine. We never really get to hear the whole truth. Most of us suspect it, but are powerless to do it, do anything about it. In all these countries where these clashes happen, the people are usually good people. They're trapped by their own leadership. They really don't have any say what's going on. A lot of the people in Ukraine don't have any say what's going on by their leaders. And a lot of people in Russia certainly don't have any claims to any power in their own country. As we found out here in Canada, that we don't have really anything in the way of power as well. A majority government can go in, have a meeting, shut down the government, and declare that if you have supported anything that they don't happen to like, they can seize your bank account, seize your property, sell your property. And in the case of Canada and our protests in Ottawa, even threaten to take your children away, put your dog in the pound and potentially euthanize it if you don't show up in time to pick it up. Now, to me, that's not really a democracy in action. But it's when times like this that the true colors come out, that we really find out how things really work. As late George Carlin used to say, it's a big special club and you ain't in it. It's the American dream and the Canadian dream. They call it a dream because you'd have to be asleep to believe it. A man I miss. A great wit, and as all great comedians do, tell the truth, get away with it because they made everyone laugh. This is the old saying used to go. If you have to tell the people the truth, either make them laugh or have a very fast horse. Makes a lot of sense to me. Anyway, this is Mike from the Fulcrum, back in the Marsh at my campsite. We'll have other meetings back here. Later on in the season, I'll be setting up camp, put the kettle on, we can have a cup of tea, maybe in the evenings, put the fire out and have a large bottle of wine. In the meantime, have a great day. Get out, breathe the fresh air, think clearly, remember the past, don't relive it.